Hello and welcome to the Dominion Daily for November 4th, 2025. We've got a Seaside Kingdom today, and we've got, let's see, Wharf, Draw, Native Village plus actions, a lot of gains, plus buy from Wharf, Blockade gains things, Smugglers gains things, Astrolabe gives plus buy, Sailor for trashing. Yeah, so we have a 5-2. I'm not actually sure if that's good or not. Like, obviously, being able to open with a Wharf is good, but Blockade and Sailor are both usually good cards to get in the opening. The only attack that Lighthouse has to block is Corsair, which could be relevant. The Corsair attack, I'm not sure how much you're going to want to play with silver and gold anyway, but like the actual money generating payload here isn't that strong, I guess. So I could see wanting to have like at least a little bit of that. Yeah, I think the big limiter here is going to be the fact that Native Village is the only plus actions. Wharf doesn't demand a ton of terminal space because you're only playing it every other turn. Same goes for most of the relevant terminals here, because it's also true of Corsair and Blockade. Smugglers, though, I guess Island. I mean, Island, obviously, you only have to play that once ever, but yeah, if you want to do a bunch of smuggling, you're going to need some villages, you're going to need some draw. So I guess between Lighthouse and Native Village in the opening, Lighthouse is definitely going to do more in the initial shuffle, but Native Village is more so the card that we need to put in our deck in the long term. And I don't know that it's particularly important that we hit... If we're going to open with a Wharf, we don't necessarily need to hit 5 again super quickly. Like, we're going to want to get Sailor, we're going to want to get Blockade. Of course, it is also an option to just open Blockade despite having the 5. And I think I would go with Blockade, with the plan being to blockade Sailor. I feel like this is going to be one of those boards where Smugglers has the potential to make it very unpleasant. Which is like an argument for going ahead and opening for the Wharf to an extent, because getting a Wharf like before there's any chance of it getting smuggled is pretty nice. Yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult. I think I'm going to take the Native Village in any case. Bot goes for Blockade. Okay. I mean, the nice thing, if we go for blockade now and we see it first, that is pretty nice. Dwarf sure is a powerful card to put in the deck, though. I honestly am not at all sure what the correct move is here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take the Wharf. Okay. Well, I guess we're taking another native village. Another lighthouse. Interesting. So, do we want to trigger a shuffle here? Probably not. Whatever we buy won't go into the shuffle. It's unfortunate because we'd like to set aside the card just to, you know, it's a form of thinning and a form of future draw. But if we put here and then we draw one card into that shuffle, then our next turn is most likely. Well, we do. The Wharf duration draw does trigger another shuffle. That still makes it a lot less likely that we see our buy this turn, because we know we'll see, like, the first 5 cards we'll see will be 5 of the 6 cards that are currently in our discard, and then we'll see 2 others, rather than it just being like a complete mixture of them. Yeah, I think I'd rather not. And then now we can take another Wharf. This is interesting. Because if we can get a pair of Wharves going and actually like if we can find the other Wharf next turn, that will be really nice. I think I do want to do that. Okay, they blockade Sailor. Oh wow, okay. That's fine with me because I wanted to get blockade more so than Sailor anyway. Ah, no estate set aside. They blockaded Sailor again. Man. I don't really want to buy a 3 cost, do I? Well, there is smugglers. We pick up here, we hit 6. Which is enough for native village and a 4. If I could hit 7 off of it, I'd feel a lot better about that. Native village and a wharf. We're definitely gonna blockade. I don't know if the bot isn't gonna be able to just keep playing blockades because it doesn't have any draw. So we do also technically, I mean, we could just go like pick up blockade, and buy another wharf. We do technically have enough actions for that. It's just, you know, if we pick up, then obviously we have to sift through all of our junk to find native village wharf, so I also, yeah, if I had 4, the other thing that would be worth considering would be blockade native village and buy blockade. Starting with a native village in hand would be nice. Alternatively, we could set aside blockade, and buy native village. We set aside here. We have 6 of our starting cards left in the deck. And we have like a 7-card starting hand, so we're guaranteed to see at least one of our 2 native villages or our wharf. Or, well, 3 native villages, I guess it would be. Getting an extra native village for next turn doesn't do very much if we're not adding a terminal to the deck, though. That's the problem. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with this line. The blockade, getting 1 more wharf. Okay, this is good. Okay, Sailor has no longer been blockaded. That's also good. Okay, this is not ideal, but it's not bad. We've got Native Village Wharf down there. Let's grab a Sailor. And I wonder. So we're going to want another wharf next turn. We don't necessarily need, like, so that we can have 2 and 2. We don't necessarily need it this turn. And in particular, we buy it. Like, we can potentially play it with Sailor is thing. Oh, we're not going to have an estate. Damn it. His estates are really not cooperating. I mean, there's a chance we have an estate, but I guess it's not that bad. We have 2 cards of duration draw, but yeah. Anyway, so if we take another wharf now, we're not necessarily going to want... Well, we're not necessarily going to be able to play all 3 of them, right? Because we have 2 native villages, so we can play like Wharf, Wharf, Blockade, but we can't play Wharf, 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 Blockade. We can play a Wharf that we buy, like, with the Sailor that we're going to have gained from Blockade. And so, like, if we don't see the second Wharf, we can just buy the Wharf and do that. So I'm thinking about Native Village Smugglers. I think that is the way. Wait, did they... Blockade gains a Sailor. Oh, they have a Lighthouse. Oh, I wasn't thinking about Lighthouse as blockade defense. Right. Okay, that's fair. Oh, wait, we weren't going to get to trash an estate anyway. We didn't have the Sailor actually in play. Right. Okay. Not ideal. And what did they gain? Okay, they gained... Okay, so we can smuggle a wharf into play. Good. Yes, that was kind of what I was figuring. I think we're going to blockade Sailor without playing it because I want to have a Sailor each turn. So we pick up, we don't gain any money for it, so there's probably not much point in doing that. I think we just set aside again. Well, wait. No, we should do... No, we need to do this first. Never mind. I mean, this is all of our native villages. Just realizing we're gonna draw cards with the wharf now. Maybe even draw into the another wharf, but yeah. Well, I think we just don't play this wharf, and that's fine. Maybe we should get a lighthouse. For the blockade defense. I mean, the bot like put its sailor into play immediately, but might not continue to do that. I mean, the other thing we could, of course, use is just another native village. And I guess we could, next turn, we could potentially put a lighthouse directly into play, so maybe taking another native village makes more sense anyway. Yeah, I think so. Figures. They blockaded lighthouse. Okay. Oh, we get to trash an estate. Huzzah. Bot has certainly done more trashing. That cannot be denied. No, not... Oh, shit. No. I was afraid of that. I mean, we still have another native village down here, but we don't have a good way to draw it. Okay, well, I think the thing to do then is just to blockade another sailor and play it. And leave this wharf unplayed and smuggle a wharf. Maybe we just don't bother with the lighthouse right now. So we've got 4 wharves in play. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll have 6 wharves. If we buy another one, seems good. Yeah, I think we just got a native village wharf. Don't worry about the lighthouse for the moment. Miles are low. They are certainly low. We can trash an estate here, and if we have a pilot opportunity, we'll still be able to take advantage of it because bot has no points. There's also nothing blockaded. We probably... So we have... In theory, we have enough buys to empty piles. Could smuggle lighthouse, and then all we need is 12 coins. We're gonna get... We have 7 in our deck. We have 4 from the sailors. The smuggled lighthouse can get us to 12. So this should be This should be doable. So the issue that we have right now is that we have 2 native villages on the mat with no guarantee of, like, that we don't, like, set another one aside or that we pull one in our next 2 cards. So I think we have to pick up here, unfortunately. Okay. So, put a sailor in play. Maybe it's easier to empty sailors. Blockade, sailor, blockade, sailor. We put the sailors into play. We smuggle lighthouse. We put that into play. And then all we need is 2 sailors and 2 lighthouses. That's also 12. Yeah. It's pretty silly how this went. But the bot just really aggressively lowered piles without having, like, any villages, and I guess it was just relying on the sailors to let it draw cards by, like, putting the wharves into play. But yeah, I mean, um even if um the game hadn't ended on piles, I don't know how the bot's deck was supposed to function from this point, because, like, where are the actions going to come from going forward to play these things? I mean, I guess if you can blockade more sailors or lighthouses, you can at least make the blockade non-terminal. That doesn't give you the action to play your additional wharf. Like, maybe the idea is the 1 native village is enough. I don't really know. But I think, yeah, to me, it seems a little bit weird. Like, I do think, like, taking advantage of the interaction, like, makes sense, but I just don't know about, like, mostly ignoring native village. And then the bot not getting his smugglers is just surprising to me, given what I've observed from the bot with smugglers in the past, that it likes to go for that. But I'm not complaining, because I don't like smugglers, and I don't like trying to play around it. And I like being able to just, gain cards without, like, having it be the case that that's actually better for my opponent that I gained that card than it is for me. I mean, I guess there's other cases where that can come up that aren't, like, as bad, like City or something, but Smugglers is just like, oh, anything I gain, like, my opponent will, like, in a buy phase at least, my opponent will get to use before I get to use, which is I can find very unpleasant. But here, well, the bot didn't touch it, so it was fine. And actually, it was quite strong for me, because multiple times I got to smuggle a wharf and immediately play it, which is like blockade but better, really. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I do think if this game had continued, of course, I wouldn't have had that many sailors, but I do think my deck would have been better positioned, like with more draw, more actions, and sailor also giving more payload, like to green and all of that. Like I think that would have all worked out fine anyway. I think it'd been interesting to get to a point where you're like, you like blockade an island, then you play the island next turn to set aside the province you bought. But I guess that was never very likely with all the sailor interaction stuff. Like it was a lot more likely that you pile out. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.